I suppose I should just launch into what I'm going to say. I had hoped that Sonata would come on by, but as he sort of requested the stream, but perhaps it's too late for him or he's otherwise engaged. But it doesn't matter. I will. I will just go through what I think are his issues. Now I have to find my short, which he took issue with. I should post a link here in case you wonder what it was we were talking about. It was a short. "33 comments. That's my most satisfying short. Obviously, when you post stuff, you want there to be a decent response, and I did get that anyway. I'm trying to cut and paste the title of it, which is called "Christians Manipulated by Personality Politics." Now, I don't know why I can't cut and paste it. But it's on my primary channel. I should just go down. Go down the list of comments, the series of comments. So the title was, why can't I read the whole thing? Maybe it's because I'm a bit too long-winded in the titles and I use up my allocated 100-character limit, and now I can't actually see what the end title is, and I've forgotten most of it. But I think it's something like this: Christians manipulated by personality politics, Jews and Muslims guided by principles. And he says there's something vaguely sinister about the presentation. He doesn't like the avatar and probably the background noise of me on my bike. I understand that he has a certain loyalty to Christianity, even though he doesn't. I don't think he properly understands it. I don't think many Europeans properly understand Christianity, and not even trained theologians properly understand it. But it's only understandable that it's only predictable that Christians would see Christianity as a bulwark against Islam. And and of course, religion does have a cultural impact on the people who follow it. But my position is simply this: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are Abrahamic religions. And they are Abrahamic religions because they worship the Abrahamic God. And therefore, they compete with each other, claiming that their way to heaven is the best way, the quickest way, the surest way. So he asks, what is in Islam I do not actually have in my own version of, or have advanced beyond entirely? And the answer is simply this: it has the rule of law, it has the laws of God, said to be the laws of God and believed to be the laws of God. And there's nothing at all in the New Testament that says this. And while Christians may say that the book of Deuteronomy and the book of Leviticus contains the laws of God, Jews would say those are for us. Those laws are for us Jews, and you shouldn't be keeping the Sabbath. And of course, Christians themselves do not know exactly what to make of which rules are for Jews and which rules are for Gentiles until the Quran came along, and that should have solved their problem and answered their question. But by that time, in the 7th century, Christians had settled into their religion and didn't want to be admitting that they have the wrong one. So they just carried on with it, and the rest is history as we know. So to answer the question of Josh, I'm saying that the Quran contains the law of God for humanity, and it is the lowest standard by which we can get to heaven if we take if we take the narrative seriously. I know most people might not. They might not believe God exists to administer the afterlife and send us to the right place, depending on whether we have earned the admission that we crave to get to the better place. But the point is, if we want to believe in it and if we want to follow it, the laws of God are in the Quran. And, well, it would help if people would read it, but I understand that many people are too full of hatred and fear to contemplate such a thing, and perhaps they are also afraid of being caught reading it by their equally Islamophobic associates and domestic partners. So my reasoning is that if there is only one Abrahamic God, then all we have to do is choose the Abrahamic religion that we consider to be the best. There is no point making up a new religion. It's been tried before. Why not just use the best available guide to humanity? And if you disagree that the Quran is the best available guide to humanity, then please propose a better one. And if you can't, then I'm afraid you've lost the argument. You may still hate it, but the point is that hating facts and logic is not going to help. There is a reason why truth has sometimes been called the ugly truth, but truth is what we have to submit to if we want to use truth as a survival strategy. So I know Josh favours a book called the Book of Urantia, and it is a book that I hadn't heard of until I encountered him on the internet, and we don't know who wrote it, and nobody even says who wrote it. I suppose I could read you the Wikipedia entry. The Urantia book, sometimes called the Urantia Papers or the Fifth Epochal Revelation, is a spiritual, philosophical, and religious book that originated in Chicago, Illinois, United States, sometime between 1924 and 1955. The text, which claims to have been composed by celestial beings, introduces the word Urantia as the name of the planet Earth and states that its intent is to present enlarged concepts and advanced truth. The book aims to unite religion, science, and philosophy. Its large amount of content on topics of interest to science is unique among documents said to have been received from celestial beings. Among other topics, the book discusses the origin and meaning of life, mankind's place in the universe, the history of Earth, the relationship between God and people, and the life of Jesus. The Urantia Foundation, a US-based non-profit book, first published the Urantia book in 1955. In 2001, a jury found that the English language book's copyright was no longer valid in the United States after 1983. Therefore, the English text of the book became a public domain work in the United States, and in 2006, the international copyright expired. However, at the form published in 1955, how it arrived at the form published in 1955 is unclear and a matter of debate. The book itself claims that its basis is found in more than 1,000 human concepts representing the highest and most advanced planetary knowledge. Analysis of the Urantia book has found that it repeated portions of numerous pre-existing published works by human authors with only the above basis as attribution. Despite this general acknowledgement of derivation from human authors, the book contains no specific references to these sources. It has received both praise and criticism for its religious and science-related content, and is noted for its unusual length and unusual names and origins of its repeated celestial contributors. So it's over 2,000 pages long. That is a minus against it, I would say. Authorship. The exact circumstances of the origin of the Urantia book are unknown. The book and its publishers do not name a human author. Instead, it is written as if directly presented by numerous celestial beings appointed to the task of providing an epochal religious revelation. William S. Sadler and his wife Lena Sadler, physicians in Chicago and well known in the community, are said to have been approached as early as 1911 by a neighbor who was concerned because she would occasionally find her husband in a deep sleep and breathing abnormally. She reported that she was unable to wake him at these times. The Sadlers came to observe the episodes, and over time, the individual produced verbal communications that claimed to be from student visitors to spiritual beings. This changed sometime in early 1925 with a volumini- voluminous handwritten document, which from then on became the regular method of purported communication. The individual was never identified publicly but has been described as a hard boiled businessman, member of the Board of Trade and Stock Exchange. The Sadlers were both respected physicians, and William Sadler was a sometime debunker of paranormal claims. In 1929, he published a book called The Mind at Mischief, in which he explained the fraudulent methods of mediums and how self-deception leads to psychic claims. He wrote in an appendix that there were two cases that he had not explained to his satisfaction. The other executions, I'm not doing it right. The other exception has to do with a rather peculiar case of psychic phenomena, one which I find myself unable to classify. I was brought in contact with it in the summer of 1911, and I have had it under my observation more or less ever since, having been present at probably 250 of the night sessions, many of which had been attended by a stenographer who made voluminous notes. A thorough study of this case has convinced me that it is not one of ordinary trance. This man is utterly unconscious, wholly oblivious to what takes place, and unless told about it subsequently, never knows what he has been used as a sort of clearinghouse for the coming and going of alleged extraplanetary personalities. Psychoanalysis, hypnotism, intensive comparison fail to show that the written or spoken messages of this individual have origin in his own mind. Much of the material secured through the subject is quite contrary to his habits of thought, to the way in which he has been taught, and to his entire philosophy. In fact, much of that we have secured. We have failed to find anything of its nature in existence. In 1923, a group of Sadler's friends, former patients and colleagues began meeting for Sunday philosophical and religious discussions, but became interested in the strange communications when Sadler mentioned the case at their fourth meeting and read samples at their request. Shortly afterward, a communication reportedly was received that was intended to serve as a basis of questions from the group that would be answered by celestial beings through the contact personality. Sadler presented this development to the group, and they generated hundreds of questions without full seriousness, but their claim is that it resulted in the appearance of answers in the form of fully written papers. They became more impressed with the quality of the answers and continued to ask questions until all papers now collected together as the Urantia book were obtained. The group was known as a forum and was formalized in 1925 as a closed group of 30 members who pledged not to discuss the material with others. Over time, some participants left and others joined, leading to a total membership of 486 people over the years from diverse backgrounds and a mix of interest levels. A smaller group of 5 individuals called the Contact Commission, including the Sadlers, were responsible for gathering the questions from the forum, acting as the custodians of the handwritten manuscripts that were presented as answers, and arranging for proofreading and typing of the material. Bill Sadler Jr. is noted to have composed a table of contents that is published with a book. Sorry, I'm checking my email. Right. To continue, the Sadlers and others involved, now all deceased, claimed that that the papers of the book were physically materialized from 1925 until 1935 in a way that was not understood even by them, with the two first parts being completed in 1934 and the third and fourth in 1935. The last forum gathering was in 1942. After the last part After the last of Part 4 was obtained in 1935, there was a period of time during which requests for clarification supposedly resulted in revisions from the Celestials. Sadler and his son Bill at one point wrote a draft introduction but were told they could not use it. The foreword was then received, in quotes. The communications purportedly continued for another 2 decades while members of the forum studied the book in depth, and according to Sadler and others, permission to publish it was given to them in 1955. The Urantia Foundation was formed in 1950 as a tax-exempt educational society in Illinois, and through privately raised funds, the book was published on October 12, 1955. Only the members of the Contact Commission witnessed the activities of the sleeping subject, and only they knew his identity. The individual is claimed to have been kept anonymous in order to prevent undesirable future veneration or reverence for him. Martin Gardner claims that an explanation concerning the origin of the book, more plausible than celestial beings, is that Contact Commission, particularly William Sadler, was responsible. Gardner's conclusion is that a man named Wilfred Kellogg was a sleeping subject and authored the book from his subconscious mind, with William Sadler subsequently editing and authoring parts. Brad Gooch believes Sadler wrote the book, possibly with help from others on the Contact Commission. A statistical analysis using the Mostella and Wallace methods of stylometry indicates at least 9 authors were involved in the Urantia documents. Comparing Sadler's The Mind at Mischief to the Urantia documents does not indicate authorship or extensive editing of the latter by Sadler, without ruling out the possibility Sadler made limited edits or contributions. Bunker and Pressler posit that the sleeping subject was Edgar Cayce. On another level, the Urantia book itself credits Midway as in relaying material to the sleeping subject. It's quite boring at the moment. This is all about copyright status. I'm not going to read that. Let's just read the overview. The Urantia book is approximately 2,000 pages long and consists of a body of 196 papers divided into 4 parts and an introductory foreword. Part 1, titled The Central and Super Universes, addresses what the authors consider the highest levels of creation, including the eternal and infinite universal Father, his Trinity associates, and the Isle of Paradise. Part 2, The Local Universe, describes the origin, administration, and personalities of the local universe of Nebadon, the part of the cosmos where Earth resides. It discusses the inhabitants of local universes and how the work of different orders of beings, including humans and angels, is coordinated within a scheme of ascension and spiritual progress. Part 3, The History of Urantia, presents a broad history of the Earth, offering an explanation of the origin, evolution, and destiny of the planet and its inhabitants. Topics include Adam and Eve, Melchizedek, the concept of the thought adjuster, religion and human experience, and personality survival. Part 4, The Life and Teachings of Jesus, is the largest part at 775 pages and is often noted as the most accessible and most impressive. It narrates a detailed biography of Jesus that includes his childhood, teenage years, family life, and public ministry, as well as the events that led to his crucifixion, death, and resurrection. It continues by discussing his appearance after he rose, Pentecost, and finally the faith of Jesus. Well, I don't think Sonata is coming, and I do have other things to do. So I will end this stream, but it was dedicated to him. I was hoping that after half an hour he would join me, but he hasn't. It would be useful if he wants to schedule a stream to be able to contact me through social media or email or whatever he wants. That would make our communications easier. So I'll just leave it for now. Thank you to people watching.